Start the meeting, we have a quorum. Just reminding members again that it is held in public session, and please switch off phones and Blackberries as they will interfere with the recording equipment. I've had apologies from Ciara McCarthy and from Joanne Dobson. Are there any other apologies? I think Mickey Brady was hoping to attend, but I think has business in the chamber, so I would submit him at this stage as an apology. Any other apologies? Okay, one item agenda, members. It's the SR 2014 number 293, the Safeguarding Board Membership Procedure Functions and Committee Amendment number 2 Regulations 2014. Just advising members that the committee had considered the statutory rule at our meeting last week. The question was put to the committee, put that the committee had no objection to the rule. That question was voted down. Therefore, as a committee, we have to decide our next step in terms of whether we wish to table a motion recommending that the Assembly annul the statutory rule. The committee itself does not have the power to annul the rule, so we would, and if that was the case, we would be tabling a motion and bringing it to the Assembly to debate and take a decision on. We are, members, under a bit of time pressure. If we agree to table a motion to annul the rule, this would have to be done at this meeting to be submitted to the Business Office today for consideration by the Business Committee at their meeting tomorrow. The motion then would be debated in terms of timescales on either Monday the 3rd of February or Tuesday the 4th of February. So before maybe we move to any decision, it's probably useful to hear members' views on the matter. So if there are any thoughts, views, considerations at this point, please indicate. Paul, yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and apologies that the committee's obviously been dealing with this longer than I've been here, but having read through the explanatory memorandum, I'm confused, and hopefully you can explain to me what the particular issue is for the committee as to why it doesn't want to designate a specialist doctor to be on this board when it comes to the protection of children. One would have thought that would be a good addition to have to the board, given the expertise that that doctor would bring. The other one, from what I can see in the reading, is to do with the quorum. And again, if the two most recent meetings haven't been able to take place, and again they're dealing with issues to do with the protection of children, why would the committee have an issue with wanting to ensure that the Safeguarding Board can actually meet? So I would be keen just to know why those members who voted against this statutory rule being proceeded with, what the logic is for that, and what would be achieved by praying against it.
Okay, any other comments?
Well, I mean, I have no objections, obviously, to the specialist doctor being on the Safeguarding Board. I have no problem with that. I would have concerns about the makeup of the board if, as has happened, there have been quorum issues because people had to absent themselves, and I think it creates difficulties in terms of accountability. Whenever you allow for a quorum of something like 1/3 to make, these are very, very important decisions. For me, it raises questions about the makeup of the Safeguarding Board. If so many members then end up with conflict of interest, perhaps the remit of it needs to be widened out so that membership can include more people, but to go down the road in a general sense of reducing quorums, which are regarded across the board as being, 2/3 and not fall below 2/3, I think it's a dangerous route to take, and that there needs to be a different way for the Safeguarding Board to be made up so that it is coherent and that it has the right expertise on it, and that it is not in a situation where the people who are under scrutiny are making the decisions about themselves. So that's my view.
Thank you. Okay, I mean, if I could just maybe add to that, it's my view that this is as much to do with the issue, the very, very difficult issue of child sexual exploitation. This is no reflection on the very valuable work that the Safeguarding Board do on many, many areas of life and of work. However, this issue has come to light, and there's a number of challenges in there. The Safeguarding Board obviously reflected on the fact that there's a number of conflicts of interest, but equally reflected on there's 3 or 4 areas of work that they can't I suppose, advance in relation to data protection on these cases. In relation to some of these cases are now over 18s, they can't get access to the cases. Those issues will not go away by the reduction of a quorum to the Safeguarding Board. So it is my view actually that this raises real challenges in relation to the inquiry into child sexual exploitation. And I think if we reflect on the lessons coming out of Rotherham in England and the very dire circumstances dealt with there, the absolute need to get this process right. And in my view, the reduction of a quorum will not mitigate against the fact that they still cannot access through data protection and through a number of issues of over 18s, that they will still be stalled. And I say it again, it is not a reflection on the valuable work that the Safeguarding Board do and will continue to do. But in this case, I think the reduction of a quorum undermines that sense of accountability in this really, really critical and important issue. Pam had indicated.
Yeah, Chair, just on your last comments there, I'm just wondering, I understand your point of view, and we've differed in this in the committee, but in relation to the issues with over 18s, it's not consenting to want to be involved in the case. That is those who were children, now adults, right to do so and to not take part in it. So that's their own choice. Data protection. I don't know what other type of inquiry or procedure that you'd have that's going to override data protection and PSNI involvement for ongoing cases. I don't know what other kind of procedure or other inquiry that you're going to have that's going to override that as well. Surely those are all issues that actually cannot be, resolved or tinkered with. These are set in stone, and you can't actually bypass those issues.
Well, just if I may comment, because I'm assuming there's other members who want to reflect on this, but it remains my position and that an independent process with full statutory powers would have been the more appropriate process to adopt, and I refer to some of the consultation responses in this in relation to, for example, the Children's Law Centre. I'm not sure, that's page 26.5. An independent process should take over consideration of the 22 cases that are subject to the SBNI thematic review.
So, Chair, just to go back on that, so what would an independent process, how would it deal with over 18s who are choosing not to take part in any inquiry, and how would it override data protection, and how would it deal with ongoing cases with the police?
Well, a full independent inquiry under Inquiries Act could very easily compel witnesses, compel files, compel reports, and not have a situation where we ultimately have a piece of work conducted by Kathleen Marshall, which has lessons in it, there are no doubt, and has a degree of expertise, but an ongoing process around these 22 cases that can't access and that can't actually drill down.
Madam Chairman, my concern is that some are advancing an argument which is to use what are improvements to the administration and effectiveness of the Safeguarding Board to beat a drum for an independent inquiry. Having the independent inquiry still won't do away with the Safeguarding Board for Northern Ireland. It will still be there. It will still need to be. It will still need to be effective. It will still need to have a designated doctor. So I'm all for the discussion around should there be an independent inquiry, but let's not use improvements to the Safeguarding Board to try and advance that particular political point, and that's where I think the committee is in danger of going, by trying to force that particular issue by using what are common sense administrative improvements to the Safeguarding Board.
Well, again, just in response to that, I've said now on 2 occasions, if not 3, about the vital role that the Safeguarding Board plays, and I think that stands and will continue to stand, and I don't think that anybody in this room is advocating almost the reduction of that role, or indeed the doing away with that role, to simply replace by an independent process. What I was reflecting on was a view that's coming not from me as chair, but from the likes of the Children's Law Centre in terms of the process to date. Would there other members had indicated just in terms of views at this juncture?
I just was unsure that this meeting was taking place and hadn't received any formal, as I can see, notification. I can't see that.
Chair, the meeting packs were issued on Friday afternoon, and through the the normal system, the electronic system, and an email was issued to members on Friday
Okay,
afternoon
just-
as well.
A difficulty seeing that on.
Well, apologies if that has been the case, but
I think from a technical point, Madam Chairman, there's nothing stopping an individual member of the Assembly putting down a prayer for annulment. It doesn't actually need to be the committee. If there are particular members so perplexed by it. Happy for the committee to
yeah,
take a vote
yeah, well, I
on
think
it,
yeah.
but there's nothing actually procedurally stopping an individual member from praying against it.
Yeah, well, that can be considered as well, Paul, thank you for that. Okay, members, if there isn't any other comments, then there's a number of options that are available to us. As I said initially in my opening remarks, there is an option about taking this forward to the floor of the Assembly to annul the statutory rule. I'm going to ask members, I suppose we do have to either vote on that or vote on the alternative. So the possible options are that if members are now saying that they are in favour of tabling a motion of annulment, then the question has to be put. So I'll put that first then, as members aren't indicating. So I'm going to put that first then, our members. So the question would be that the Committee for Health, Social Services and Public Safety has considered the Safeguarding Board membership procedure, functions and committee amendment number 2 and recommends that it be annulled by the Assembly. Can I ask then for a show of hands on that?
Or, yes.
In favour? Against? Can I ask the clerk to just confirm the vote then?
3 members voted in favour and 5 members voted against, so the motion falls.
Okay, so can I ask the clerk then to just confirm the outcome of that decision taken forward today?
Well, the result is that the statutory rule, it has already been made by the department, so it will remain in law, and the committee will not consider the issue again.
Okay, are members comfortable in agreement with that? Thank you for your time.
Apologies, Chair, I just got the find it.
Okay. Okay, members, just, there isn't any items under AOB at this point, no. Date time of next meeting is Wednesday, the 28th at 2 o'clock in the Senate.